When you get to chapter 17, though, there's an event that deserves some comment. And I found that there isn't a single commentary I found that catches what this is really all about. When you get to chapter 17, we've been in chapter 16, we have the portion of Ephraim and goes through all that stuff, and I won't take you through all the borders and mispronounce all the names for you. But in chapter 17, and we have Manasseh. But when we get to verse 3, comes this event called the Daughters of Zelophahad. And it reflects back to an issue that came up in Numbers 27, the first 11 verses. Zelophahad had 5 daughters, no sons. And they were talking to Moses about when we get into the promised land, they will have no inheritance, because the inheritance was going to be by the male heirs to each family. And so Zelophahad petitions Moses on behalf of his 5 daughters to have them made an exception. Now, in this case, Moses does go to the Lord, and the Lord authorizes it. And they allow that these daughters, if there's no other issue, no male issue, and if they will marry within the tribe, they will have the right to carry the inheritance of their father. Very strange exception in the ruling. And of all the commentaries I have checked, all the standard ones, they all make reference to this as just part of the Torah and part of the land rules and all this stuff. They miss the key point. And I believe it was C.I. Scofield who is credited with being the first to recognize that the claims of Christ hang on on this peculiar exception in the law. Because Heli's daughter Mary, he apparently had no male issue. And when you look at the genealogy of Mary in the book of Luke, which of course carries the blood claim of Christ to David. See, Matthew, being a Jew, goes from Abraham down to David, the king, to the first son of Bathsheba, Solomon, down the royal line to Joseph, who is the legal father of Jesus Christ, but carries the blood curse on Jeconiah that's mentioned in Jeremiah 22. In fact, that blood curse in Jeremiah 22 is a strange passage, because as the kings of Judah go from bad to worse, you finally get to Jeconiah where God has had it. It says, no man of his seed will prosper in Judah. And if you read that, if you're paying attention to the royal promises, you know that it's from the royal line the Messiah is to come. And I always conjecture that there must have been celebrations in the councils of Satan the day that curse was announced by God. Because from Satan's myopic point of view, God has got himself over a barrel. The Messiah had to be of the royal line, and yet there's a blood curse on the line of Jeconiah, which isn't the royal line. But you see, since Jesus was not the blood son, if you will, of Joseph, that curse did not descend to Jesus Christ. When you look at Luke, being a physician, he doesn't start his genealogy from Abraham. He starts from Adam. He takes Adam to Abraham. From Abraham down to David, the genealogies in both Gospels are identical. Until when you get to David, Luke does a strange thing. He doesn't go through the first son of Bathsheba. He goes through the second surviving son of Bathsheba, Nathan. Not Nathan the prophet, another son of David. And down through Nathan, he tracks this genealogy, which goes, of course, to Mary's father, Heli. It's a means by which Jesus has a claim to both the bloodline and the legal line to the house of David, but through different channels. And it's very, very interesting. I always visualize when the curse was put on Jeconiah, the angels must have gasped in horror, because they may have had the same insight that Satan probably did. I always visualize God turning to the angels, watch this one. And I may be wrong in my history, but I believe in terms of insights, that is one of Scofield's insights that realized. And the reason I'm interested in this is that not only because of its intrinsic interest, which is interesting, but it's another demonstration of an assertion I'll make, but I'll challenge you to prove it or disprove it. I believe every detail in the Old Testament, every detail in the Bible, but especially in the Old Testament, every detail points to Jesus Christ. All these obscure laws, all these bizarre offerings, all these strange dimensions of things they had to build for the tabernacle, all these things directly in some way affect your perspective of Jesus Christ. He is the subject from cover to cover. And when you come across this bizarre law like the Daughters of Zelophahad, don't limit yourself to the insights of some particular writer that happens to point some things that are true, but it may not go far enough. Let the Holy Spirit lead you. And if you have a trouble with a passage, don't understand it, try putting Jesus Christ right in the middle of it and see what happens. Well, anyway, moving on, chapter 18 to the end of 19 are the assignments.